Hello, and welcome to a special episode of Gotham Outsiders, our Batman interview club for today. Bamming and powing our way into the scene, it's me and my co-host TJ.
Hi, everyone. I'm your Chris proclaimed Batman acolyte, and I'm so excited to be here talking to a really cool guest.
Yes, we do have a very special guest. We have with us letterer of such comics as The Joker, Catwoman, Batman Last Night on Earth, and more, Tom Napolitano.
No, here I am.
Yay!
That just came up. I just thought of that.
I love it.
You're a natural.
Original. So original.
Yeah.
I don't know where I've heard that before.
Well, Tom, I am a big fan of your work. There's a lot of the books that we just mentioned that I love, and of course your contributions, like the book would not be the same without the sense of style you bring.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we always open with a bit of an icebreaker to get you kind of warmed up. So we have an ongoing debate on this podcast. We ask everybody because we are absolutely tallying it up to try to use it against people. No, I'm just kidding. But who do you declare is the best detective in the Bat family?
I actually find this kind of an easy answer. It's okay. Barbara Gordon.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, between her being Oracle for a lot of her run, like, she has the most knowledge. She has put in the most like actual research to like investigation time than any other Bat folk have on like screen / page. And she kind of has like an origin similar to Tim Drake, where she's like trying to investigate something on her own and like beats Batman and Robin to the punch like 15 pages before they like jump in to like save the day because Comics Code was garbage. But
yeah, that's a really good answer. We get we've kind of debated whether it's Tim or not. Barbara is another one that comes up for me, as long as we all agree it's not Bruce, despite what he thinks.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna steal a line from True Detective. I think he definitely has the detective's curse that whatever's under your nose you miss. Like,
oh yeah, like whole secret siblings sometimes, you know.
he also has the whole problem of just like, I'm gonna do this alone and just like hide somewhere. I need to figure it out. Let me figure it out. And it's just like, all right.
Was Christian Bale in the room just now? That was.
And then my second choice is Alfred, because Alfred's always like,
"Ooh,
Mr. Bruce, why don't you just like look under the book? Oh wow, there's a clue here. Cool shit."
That's true. Alfred also is the one that detects what they're all doing, and they're supposed to be sneaky. So
I love that answer. I'm here for Alfred.
Yes.
You've convinced me.
You're welcome.
Well, Tom, you are the first letterer that we've talked to in depth on the show. And we're going to talk about that art form. So in general, can you give us kind of like a rundown of that process, how it usually goes? Like, how much freedom are you allowed when it comes to quirky additions and such to the text, if at all?
So for that specifically, you get, it depends on the team, really. It can, and even the proofreaders, sometimes the proofreaders are very strict about like, you can't italicize this word or not. But most of the time you get pretty good freedom of like woes and uhs. You can kind of just do what you want on them. Sound effects, for the most part, is everything's fair. And then sometime, like if you start out a book, you can completely decide the font and balloon style and caption styles and things of that sort. But sometimes sometimes you're handed down some things, so you know you gotta always use the Batman Who Laughs balloon or whatever you inherit.
I mean, going off of that one, so like when it comes to like books like The Joker, like were there any big like liberties that you took on that title?
So the Joker himself, the character, had a established I think type and sort of balloon style. I mostly refigured how I would like. I redesign. I use like my own stroke for the line weights of the balloons, so it matches more of like Gilliam's art style. It's a little bit more what would you call it? It's a little bit more loose. He works with thicker lines, so I try to have a variation in the weight to be thicker to thinner to just have a little bit more play in it. But early on, I think James wanted to have the Gordon captions from is it year one?
I think it is year one.
So early on, he had said he wanted to have that callback. So I pretty much, did my research and mimicked that style, but with my line weight and the font choice.
And I mean, you did a great job. Like, we just read year one for our book club episodes, and I love picking up the Joker book, especially the flashback issues, and just it feels like it's very much in line with that book, and it's just really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Since you mentioned the flashback issues that are done with Francesco Francavali, I actually slightly alter the line weight for his artwork also. I don't know if you'll notice, but his balloons and the tails will be a little bit more rounded where they connect. And the actual white of those balloons are slightly off to match the whites that he uses on his artwork. So they're like a slightly more blue than the normal Gilliam March Joker pages. And,
that's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've realized that, but now like I'm gonna go back and look for it now though.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's amazing how many like little tweaks you can make to give such flavor to the story.
Yeah, and I think people don't give lettering a fair shake when it comes to that. A lot of people are like, it's just stickers.
Yeah.
Like credits where it's due.
Yeah. Well, probably if you're doing your job right, it's so good that it doesn't stand out, right? You know, if it stood out more, it'd probably because something is jarring when it isn't supposed to be. The fact that you're creating the setting and scenery of the text is so important.
Right. Like, I never thought I would be sitting on a podcast talking about lettering, and that's not because it's not important. It's just that when you pick up a book, sometimes that's not the first thing you think about. But like when we just sat down to write all these questions for you, I was kind of amazed where my mind went, and I was like, there's so many possibilities to talk about this. Like, why don't we talk about it more? So I'm excited.
I was thinking back to the times we've mentioned it have largely been when it was dramatically done wrong, and so it like stabbed us in the eyes, right? But that's just a testament to how important it is. Like, it's essential.
Yeah, it is most of the time considered the invisible art. So
yeah. So how did you get started in the field of lettering?
So where to start? I guess I'll start mostly literally. So I worked in-house at DC Comics for a number of years. I started out as a temp in the archives, and then I moved my way up to Tech Ops, which was just a fancy name for archives again. So I moved to Tech Ops, and I kept on bothering people for more work because it was kind of put files into this archive database or pull off files from this archive database. And I have a background in comics. I went to school of visual arts with a bachelor's degree in cartooning. And
nice.
Yeah.
So I would bug people for, hey, let me try to recolor this old page, or let me do this, let me do that. Bothered people enough that they would actually let me do this on the regular. And then position opened up in pre-press. I moved over to pre-press. Pre-press is more art-based, but production. So you're putting the books together, you're sending files to the letterers, to colorists, and you do any corrections like color corrections or lettering corrections. So that's pretty much when I started really dabbling into lettering, was when I had to do lettering corrections, and I would never really turn down any tasks. So the way lettering works is you work with live fonts, right? But then you create an outline that makes each letter a shape. This is so you don't have to have the fonts that your freelancers have or whoever you're working with, and it just becomes a piece of art. It's vector based, so you can resize it and it doesn't lose clarity. So I would so that preamble was just for me to say I would take on corrections where it was like, we need to re-letter this paragraph, and I would literally take letters from or words from other parts of the book and reconstruct like a balloon from scratch using these shapes. Sometimes
That's
you were
incredible.
sometimes able to, you know, find a font that was the same font because we had fonts in house, but a lot of times you had to reconstruct it. So that was my start with lettering. Then this was all in New York. So they announced the move to California and spots were opening up. Lettering was getting a big hit. Pretty much the whole department was going, and except for one person. And that's when I started to be like, hey, let me do this.
You said, hey, I can be that one person.
Well, I was the second person.
Okay.
The other person would become my boss. So, and
That's awesome.
That's pretty much how I started.
So tenacity, that's how you got into it.
Yeah.
You just kind of ended up there.
Annoying a lot of people and being in the right place at the right time.
I love that. That is the technique out there, kids. That's how you do it.
What a journey.
So do you have letterers that inspire you or who you learned from?
There's plenty of letterers I learned from that inspire me. I'll do that quickly. Gleb Robbins is probably my favorite letterer. I was like really trying to figure out how to I don't know, just get out of the mold, because I loved DC's in-house lettering, but you were kind of restricted in a lot of ways, and then you don't really have a lot of time to like dabble into trying different techniques or trying different styles. So my style for a while was just super clean, very basic. And I was reading, I think, Fury Road. Clem was doing the Fury Road books, and I went, wow, is this like hand lettered? Like how is this done? And it was all digital, and I was like, wow, you can do this with computers. Wow. And so, and then Clem's story is he is a character, but he even designed his own font, and he's updated it to the point where like every letter next to another letter creates like different like variables to how they look. So it's an incredible feat, and I haven't even scratched the surface of what he's done. And I just look at him as like, that's where I want to be.
Yeah.
I'll work. And he's also like Todd Klein's great, but he goes a little bit more designy with his balloons. Where Clem keeps it pretty natural. It kind of looks like it should be drawn there. So I think that's where if there was a fight between Todd Klein and Clem Robbins, I'd be like, it's a tie, but Clem's my favorite.
I like the idea.
If the Joker gave you a gun and said, pick one.
I was gonna go battle royale with it. Like let's have them fight it out.
Okay.
But the Joker could be behind that too. You know,
I don't want to assume all letterers know each other, but do you know Ariana Maher?
I don't know her, but
okay.
I'm like Twitter acquaintances.
Okay,
Like
good.
that.
Okay, so and I bring it up just because next up we're gonna bring up the DC Pride #1 that came out last year. We spoke to her; she was great. Anyway, you also worked on that issue, which was monumental. Can you tell us a little bit about the story or stories that you worked on and what it meant to be a part of such an amazing creative team?
So I worked on one story. He's the light of my life, and it was an overview of the story. It's about Alan Scott and his son Obsidian. Is his name Todd?
You're asking the wrong person.
Oh God, I think so. I think so.
I think his name is Todd, but it seems wrong. I don't know.
I can check that.
But it's a story where they're reconnecting over brunch with Todd's boyfriend, and it's really a story about the history of the challenges that the LGBTQIA plus community has endured. That even a white man with a magical imagination granting ring couldn't, navigate well. And
it is Todd.
Nice.
Someone out there is like, I knew it was Todd.
We hear you, Alex Jaffe.
How did you not know? But no, that was a great story, Tom. I really, really liked the aspect of like the generational issues and just how they were different throughout history, depending on when you were born, and just the father-son thing. It really hit me. It worked for me.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. It was a great story.
And it was special to me also. I am not part of the community, but I obviously support it. But I got the book and finished the book around the time I had started working at DC, or like getting my foot in the door at DC. And the way I got my foot in the door was through Klaus Janson, the artist of that story. He was one of my teachers at SVA. And much like the story, just one day I reached out to him after graduating, was like, hey, I don't have a job, or like I'm working at a bookstore for maybe a little bit better than minimum wage, and
relatable.
Yeah, right.
And I'm just like, can you just like look at some of the pages I've been working on? And he like took me out to lunch, bought me a burger, and it like reading that scene, it even like to me was just like, wow, it's like reconnecting with my teacher. We weren't estranged or had a duel at any point, but
not yet.
Not yet.
Once we do our tournament of letterers, then you can fight him.
Yeah.
So it came at a time where it aligned with my 10-year anniversary of just like being part of like the comics industry at a more professional level than drawing comics in my room, which is not really different than what I do now, but it's at least for publishers and stuff. And he was my contact with DC Comics, and he's the one that was able to get my foot in the door to get that temp job. So
nice.
Yeah. So you've worked with some fantastic creators and their interpretations of the Dark Knight. Do you have a fondness for a specific iteration of Batman? What about the Batman that draws you to him as your Batman?
There is a wrong answer. No.
There is.
There is no wrong answer.
Just kidding.
The wrong answer is the non-comics answer, and my Batman was Batman the Animated Series with Kevin Conroy.
No, that's
voicing.
the right answer. What are you talking about? There isn't a right answer except for that one.
Yeah, that show is the show that got me to actually start reading comic books, and I like. When I got much older, I was like going back in the comic book stores, and I think it was Hush. Yeah, it was Hush that like brought me back into like really dabbling into Batman since Batman the Animated Series. And I really clung to that story a lot because there was a lot of history involved in it, and the history is what gets you hooked. As well, for me as a comic reader, the history of stuff gets me hooked, which makes you hunt for back issues, and trade paperbacks weren't really super popular then, so you actually had to like look for No Man's Land each issue, or I don't know, Nightfall. Nightfall might have been a TPB, but I'm not sure. But I do have and similar to that fondness to history, and also it was like my last appreciation of comic books before I like really was working in the books was Scott Snyder's Court of Owls run.
Yes,
so good.
It's one of my favorites.
I love the history that he put into it. The 13th floor of buildings have this
exquisite.
I just loved anything that added to the lore of Gotham. It didn't necessarily add to the lore of Batman. I just like when Gotham is a creature of its own.
Yes.
Now, did you ever think you'd be working with Scott Snyder?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Or Greg Capullo.
I'm loving your come up story. I'm here for it.
Yes.
Yeah, really the first I didn't technically work with either of them for this, but my first foray into working with that team adjacently was the Death of the Family.
Another good one.
That is a really good one.
They were doing these boxes with masks.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Keep going.
We know exactly what you're talking about.
So they had started with the V for Vendetta box, right? The box had a giant window, which made it hard for shipping. So they would sometimes crunch. Then they did the Court of Owls, which had a smaller window because of the oval shape of the mask. And then they wanted to do this Joker one, and they needed to find a way to keep enough cardboard on the box and have a window enough to display the mask. So somebody came to me, and I designed the initial concept for the Death in the Family Joker mask box.
That is so cool. Okay, you mentioned working at a bookstore earlier. Yeah. I worked at a bookstore for a few years, which is actually where Chris and I met.
Yep.
But anyway, we had copies of these mask kits with the books in them, exactly what you're describing, sitting on the shelf next to my little customer service desk that would stare at me all day, every day. So I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe you designed that. That is so funny.
Yeah. And I had thought of I don't think it was ever a cover. I think the image was just a promotional image of the Joker putting his eye through his own face, because he had carved his face off. So I just took from Google that image and like did a mock-up, and you'll note, like, if you look at that box again, you'll notice that there is a little part. I'm hitting my mic now. There's a little part of his come on, Mike. There's a little part of his palm. The shape is still there, but they did not keep the actual image of the palm. So they kept my cutout, but they didn't keep the image there when they did a cleaner mock-up. Because mine was purely just for in-house people to look at and then go, oh, we can do this. Like, this can work.
This is really cool. I'm looking at it right now. That is awesome.
I will say, I almost bought it like every day, and I never bought it, and I'm regretting it so hard right now.
You did a pretty hard sell on me for that one too. I remember, TJ.
It's great. It comes with a wig. Did you ever see the mask?
Oh, like, yeah, there was like a plastic cover of it, and I could like see the mask with the bucket.
But did you ever just
take
it
out
in the round?
No.
I'll show you.
Oh, please show us. Everyone else, Google so you know what we're looking at.
Right. Listen to us gasp in excitement.
Tom is going to display the mask. He's going to put it on for us.
Okay, I'm so excited. I can't wait.
Tom, I want your best Joker impression.
His Batman was real good.
And Alfred. I was pretty impressed by Alfred too.
You're right. If we ever do a radio drama.
We have a whole cast prepared.
We do.
I can't.
No.
I must have put it somewhere.
No.
But it has a green wig, and I always
Yeah.
like to use the green wig
Yeah.
part and have the
That's so
Joker.
funny.
I like to put the Joker face
That's
on the back of my head
amazing.
and have the wig cover my face.
We were joking when you were gone. I was like, we're going to make him do a Joker impression.
That is a hard impression, actually.
You did a really good Batman, a really good Alfred. We're like, who else do you have in the arsenal in there?
I can do sound effects, but I don't.
Please do some sound effects for us.
All right.
Is that a gun?
It was wings, wasn't it?
Was it wings? It sounded like wings too.
This is like ASMR.
It's supposed to be a helicopter. I don't know if it's
Oh,
translating.
okay. I got it.
I don't know if it's translating.
I was still in Court of Owls. I was like, it's an owl.
I don't know if I can do it loud enough, but sometimes I can do a water sound.
Oh, that was good.
That was good.
That was the blood hitting the floor. Okay. What is next? So how do you feel about using specific fonts for certain characters' dialogue? Like, we kind of got into the Joker a little bit earlier, but specifically, we also mentioned when this doesn't work. And we were thinking of, like, in Morrison's Arkham Asylum, which of course is iconic, but when we read it, we really thought the Joker text was amiss there, in our opinion. But so just to bring that up here, do you like this technique? And, like, how do you know when it's appropriate or not? How do you know if it's too much?
I've kind of struggled with how I felt about the Joker's word balloon and font. I get that he is an important figure and needs something special, and everybody thinks the Mark Hamill voice. So he's got an iconic voice, and I get trying to create something that lives up to that iconography, but there's times where I use it in Joker, but it was the staple, but the wiggly word balloon, the wiggly tail, I don't know, have a wavy tail, I don't know a more official word for it, I think is sometimes too much. And then I definitely, when I was on Harley Quinn, there was a lot of times where he was supposed to be speaking off screen and it was supposed to be a surprise, and it kind of kills that.
Would.
so and also but I think we actually got away with that one because I think we had him then talk normal and then we had him clear his throat. So I like the idea of, because the Joker's always like doing disguises, getting to places where you're like, how did you get in here? So I think it would be better if we more utilized like, oh, he sometimes talks normal, so people aren't immediately like, oh, you're the Joker, we need to get the fuck out of here. Oh, should I not curse? I don't actually
No. Extremely explicit. Trust me, we curse constantly.
Yeah, if you give us a good sound effect, we'll put it over any cussing going forward.
Ow!
Forever. No, cuss as much as you would like.
Yes.
So yeah, I for him, I kind of want him to speak more normally. I think he is a more I don't know. I kind of want him to be quiet. I kind of want him to be I don't know. I think it's more sinister if he doesn't sound outlandish or cartoonish. It doesn't mean that he can't like deform into that or like
right.
like even with his laughter, like you can go so far with his laughter. But I didn't like the like new 52 Joker type. It was a little too cartoonish. I do like the one they switched to now. I think it's more appropriate. It also it works because it goes through he's like in every like comic line, right? So it's good to have him have like his own voice, even though like the type of each book is different, you know. So
that makes sense.
I don't the wiggly tail is really where I want to cross the line. Like it's sometimes time consuming, but
yeah,
he's not always saying something that deserves like a crazy wiggly tail. Not saying that he at times he does deserve a very wiggly tail, but I don't know.
Did you invent the wiggly tail?
I did not. I didn't.
Okay.
I think that started with maybe the Tom King run. I'm not sure who was lettering that.
Nice. I'm gonna name this episode Wiggly Tail. Take a shot every time we say Wiggly Tail.
We'll call it Tom and his wiggly tail.
Oh, it works in two different ways.
Yeah.
So the Joker series is almost at its end, unfortunately, but upon reflecting, is there an issue that you're most proud of, or like what was your most exciting moment to work on, or most challenging as an artist?
I think I was the most excited when Francesco Francavilla, I think I said his name wrong, but anyway, when he came on at Joker issue number 5, it's the flashback stuff.
Oh yeah,
I'm a huge fan. I have his Texas Chainsaw Massacre poster right behind me. I have an Evil Dead poster of his in my living room. I'm a huge fan. So I really marked out when I saw on Twitter he was like showing Joker pages, and I was like, oh, I hope I get to letter that. Because I'm pretty sure he letters his own at the time. He lettered his own book. I think it's called The Black Beetle or something like that. So I was like, oh, don't letter your own book. Let me do it. Let me do it. And it was super exciting to actually get to work on his. And then, as I described before, I tried to make the lettering work with his art style enough that it didn't completely change the style of the book, but enough to complement his artwork. And then I think another one, I think it's the issue before, like issue number 4. I really loved this point where there was some sort of gas that made Joker appear even more deranged, and the ha-has go from like his normal deranged ha-has to like a very acidic ha-has. And then I did this
now you're ha-haing.
Now and then I did this multi-wiggly tail to you know what, I'll just show you guys so you know.
It's a great page. Yes.
And then there's the multi-wiggly tails.
Oh my god. Yes.
The wiggly tail. Oh my god. You know, they look like little sperms. They have wiggly tails. All right.
No.
No.
My nightmare.
But in a good way. Okay.
There's
I had
like
to say it.
There's like 3 things a letterer tries really hard not to do.
Make it look like sperm. Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
Make the balloons look like sperm. Make the balloons look make the balloons look like multi balloons look like a flaccid penis, and then make the balloons look like farts.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh. I apologize. It looks nothing like a little sperm. It's just a wiggly tail.
I was just KO'd by that joke.
Sorry. Oh my gosh. But no, it's a brilliant page. I love it.
I mean, they're white circles with tails. We call them tails. Like, it's a known problem.
Didn't think we'd be talking about sperm in this episode.
You just never know. You just never know.
I'm the problem.
It is you. You are the problem tonight. But you never know.
Anyway, while we're off track here, I wanted to say, I I'm watching Ash versus Evil Dead right now. Again, I'm getting my husband to watch it for the first time, and he loves it. And then, what did you think of the new Texas Chainsaw movie? Did you watch it?
Okay. So to go off topic,
Please.
Sorry, Chris.
That's fine.
One of my favorite horror movie is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Not because it's like super well done or anything. In fact, it's probably better that it wasn't well done.
I just watched it for the first time, so like it's fresh.
It is a movie that still makes me scared. Like everything about that movie rubs you the wrong way, and it's brilliant in that, and also demented in that. Is demented canceled? I want to stop saying it if it's not okay.
I think you're okay. You're okay in this environment.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know. Haven't heard anything bad about demented. So I think you're okay.
And this whole thing is getting cut, so don't worry.
Oh, is it?
We're not going to talk about Texas Chainsaw in our interview.
I don't know. No. I'm probably going to be the one editing. You don't know it's going to be cut.
I mean, it does tie into the Joker with the Sawyers. The Sawyers are very Texas Chainsaw Massacre-esque, and I tried to make their word balloons feel like how those that family talked. So like the Sawyers kind of talk, something about the way they talk just seems deteriorated, and I wanted to make that mimic the word balloons. The word balloons are like grayish and like a little bit more malformed. I wanted the mentality to match that of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And then whenever is it Buddy? I think Buddy is the like Leatherface equivalent, that like whenever he goes it kind of looks like I was thinking like he kind of talks like a chainsaw, so I tried to mimic that.
Nice. I didn't expect you to tie this back into our conversation. Now I'm like, are we cutting this conversation?
So I have to ask then, to follow that up, do you end up watching things and seeing like what the word bubble would look like? Have you developed like artistic synesthesia?
I don't know. I want to say yes. Because
the way you were describing it just now sounded like yes.
So yes, to make myself sound cool and sophisticated. Absolutely. That I just see people talking word balloons now.
That would be amazing.
Little tails. Little wiggly tails just all the time.
How wiggly are our tails? That's the next question.
I'm gonna say TJ's tail is pretty tamed.
It's getting tamer the more I dig my hole here.
Chris, I believe your tail is a bit more wiggly. You got a raven's wiggle going on.
Oh, okay.
Put that in your Tinder bio.
Raven often has a wiggly tail that's just wiggly enough.
I like it. I love this. This is amazing.
Oh my God. Make your own Twitter account where you just give people these answers.
You listen to a clip of their voice and then tell them what their word balloon would sound like.
Like a daily fortune, but it's just your wiggly tail examination for the day.
That's actually probably not a bad idea.
I think it would be fun.
Put that on your Patreon.
I might steal this.
Please go for it.
TM.
Wow. Now I have to remember where we left off when we were asking real questions.
Number 10.
All right. So you're also working on DC versus vampires. Would you survive a vampire apocalypse? What DC characters would you team up with to survive, or would you join the vampires?
Dun, dun, dun.
I mean, I don't know if you watch What We Do in Shadows, but in reality, I would be Guillermo. Like,
you're a simp for the vampires.
Like, I really want to be a vampire, and they're like, nah, you can like clean our house. I'd be like, all right, fine, sure, cool. But realistically, probably would not survive. I probably, all my balloon skills won't save me from a vampire bite.
Have you considered telling them each what their word balloon would sound like?
Not until this conversation.
Because that maybe you could win them over.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I'd try to either draw their portraits or tell their fortunes through their balloon wiggly tails. But who would I team up with? Out of the Bat family, right?
It could be anyone.
Oh, let's stick with the Bat family.
Okay.
Well, if it's all of DC, I would probably want to hang out with the Terrifics.
Oh,
just
yes.
would want to hang out with them in general. It
Right.
seems like they would have a good time in a vampire apocalypse. But if it's the Bat family, I mostly want to go with people with killer. Well, I gotta go with Barbara Gordon. She's the best detective. She's probably great at figuring out how to kill vampires. Stick or sun, right? I don't know.
She'll be making a cure. It's almost ready.
Making the cure. There you go. And then I need some killer instinct, I think, because I'm gonna be the useless one. So I would probably go with, well, Damien's my favorite Robin.
Oh yes, a Damien fan.
So Damien's in there. Then Red Hood, because he's probably the most capable of saying "fuck it, I'll kill like Dick" if he becomes a vampire. And,
he's the one with the guns.
He's the one with the guns. And then,
which I guess doesn't work on. I was thinking zombies.
I was gonna say you can load it. Maybe load up a
Wooden
stake
bullet.
gun.
Yeah, there
guns.
we go.
I think silver hurts them too. Silver bullets.
Okay.
Silver is a catch-all, I think. And I think Cassandra Cain Kane likes to fucking kick the shit out of things, I think.
Yeah.
Which she's kicking some ass in the Joker title right now. So if you're not reading it, go check it out, everyone.
Yes.
Also, I feel like her mask is scary enough to like deter some vampires and maybe be like, are you already a vampire or something worse? I don't know.
Her mask gives her a lot of neck coverage too, so I bet she's hard to bite, just practically.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
the new, sorry.
I was just gonna go through a rundown. Damien, because he likes to chop things heads off, and I feel like that's a very good instinct. And then the rest I already explained. I just didn't cover Damien.
Yeah.
Being my favorite Robin isn't good enough to be on the team.
He brings that killer instinct, the murder baby instinct.
Yeah. That's what.
Can you guess Chris's favorite Robin?
Oh, Tim Drake.
How the heck did you know?
I listen to the podcast.
Oh no!
Oh my god, really?
I'm actually really upset that the icebreaker wasn't fuck, marry, kill.
You really do listen to the podcast. Hey, we could throw in a spontaneous fuck, marry, kill round for you.
I've been trying to think of a better themed one for you guys that is like go on patrol with, send to Arkham. Can't think of the third one.
Oh, I like that. I think it should still be fuck. It's fuck patrol, Arkham.
Yeah, in your Arkham prison cell. It's happened. Harley and Ivy. Well, we will definitely have you back anytime and we can play a game. Oh, I'm sorry you didn't get a game.
Oh, I'm if you want one, I will add it to the end. I am at all times prepared for fuck, marry, kill.
Yeah, we can do a couple rounds. All right.
I'm always game for a good game.
Yes.
So the new Catwoman run is breathing some fresh air into Selina's story. Did you tackle the lettering on this series at any specific angle to bring like a new sense of style to the series? And if so, how so?
Now with Catwoman, I need to ask specifically, which new run of Catwoman are we talking about?
I'm thinking the Tiny Howard one.
Tiny Howard?
That has like 2 issues out right now.
Great. Okay. So that one's, so I came on for Blake Northcott and Sean Murphy's short run on Catwoman, and I started off with getting handed like this is Catwoman's lettering template, so I did some tweaks to it, but it's mostly the same from whatever the Catwoman I started at. I don't remember what number, but I didn't start at number 1. so I was using a lot of their and there I mean just DC's like template.
Mhm.
And then for Ram V and Fernando Blanco, it was more the same of that. Changed some things, but mostly the same style. For this, Jessica Chen, great editor. She came in and looped the whole team in, and the big discuss, like, we wanted to get rid of the claw marks because the logo now had diamond. So, I mean, we got rid of the claw marks, and she had the claw marks from like the New 52. So it's been like a decade of so when I say claw marks, her captions will usually have a purple 3 claws to indicate it's Catwoman, and it's usually the first caption because it would be obnoxious to have claw marks in every caption. Excuse me, losing my voice.
You're okay.
So
it's from all the sound effects we made you do earlier.
It was the water one that did it.
So yeah, I used all my moisture. I need to spit in my moisture suit. Dune reference. I don't know why I did a Dune reference.
I love it. Oh, I love Dune.
The Dune suits are gross.
Oh yeah, we don't think about them. It's best not to.
So this run, they were like, we kind of want a more sleek Catwoman. We're gonna go a little bit more high class. The other stories are more like crime noir. We wanted to go a little bit more modern with it. Nico Leon's style is very like clean, but they still wanted to keep it very dark. Like I guess it's still noir style, but like just a more modern version. So we dropped the claws. I added the diamond into the captions, and I also added a slight dot gradient to the captions. They're purple. She normally had did she have gradient? Whatever. I added a dot gradient. So like I didn't want the captions to be so dark. I wanted a little bit of a pop of purple in there. And then I think we stuck with the same font, but I had done like a couple of runs of different fonts and different balloon styles that were not, you still kind of want the run to be similar, but not jarringly different. I think it was my decision to make the captions lowercase because I was having a lot of success with a lot of dialogue from James and James on the Joker. His like the Gordon captions being lowercase was saving me a lot of space, so I introduced that to this to accommodate similarly. I think they're lowercase. I work on a lot of books.
We forgive you.
And I forget specifically all the details, but
that was a very nice humble brag. I can't remember all the details of how many books I work on.
The most exciting part for me on this, like the third new run of Catwoman, is I've gotten to go do some different stuff with the sound effects that Fernando Blanco did a lot of his own sound effects, so I took a back seat for a lot of his run, and they even replaced some of my sound effects while I was on that. It was kind of a morale killer, but but something about Nico's or Leon's, I don't know how they want to be referred to, but I apologize if I'm not picking the right ways. Their style is just so sharp, so kinetic that I've been trying to match that with the sound effects, and I've been doing a lot of like transparent gradiencies to make it so I don't hide any of their artwork, but also give it kind of a cool modern noir flavor without like going overboard with bells and whistles.
That was a great answer, and more than I expected, because I did a lack of research and did not know that you worked on the title before Howard came on. So in my mind, I was like, oh, it's a fresh new team. I just started reading it from that issue onward. So to me, it's new. But that's so awesome that you've been on it long term.
That's really cool. So what is your DC Comics hill you will die on? Does Batman eat pussy or so forth?
I don't know if I have to die on that hill. He absolutely does.
Correct answer.
Oh, he does everything. He does everything.
Oh.
Yeah.
Everything.
You're not a millionaire playboy and just do basic shit.
50 Shades of Bruce Wayne.
He had to work for that money.
I mean, I'm not going to go into it. It's not my place.
Whose place is it? Because I want to talk to them.
My alter ego. But my DC hill to die on. I think what's his name? Harold Allnut is the most underappreciated DC character in the universe.
TJ, do you know who that is?
I was gearing up to say who?
Speaking of underappreciated, TJ, do you know?
No, I mean, I'm trying to figure out who the Terrifics are. Is this like Mr. Terrific from Arrow? Is he one of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Terrific.
See, that's my extent of knowledge of the Terrifics. I was going to ask earlier, but now I'll ask, who is this guy?
Well, the Terrifics was a series I worked on. It's a team of Mr. Terrific, Plastic Man. I've Metamorphosis Man, right? That's his name. Mm-hmm. And then
maybe don't ask me.
Anyway, you should check it out. That run is actually,
now that I know you worked on it, I will go check it out.
Yes.
Doc Shanner did like issues of it. It was a wonderful book. But I Harold Allnut.
Yeah.
He was Batman's Hunchback.
Oh my god.
Okay.
I forgot about this character too.
So Harold, I don't know his original thing, but in so I know this because I collected the comics.
Yeah.
So my first knowledge of Harold is that, well, is from Hush, but I went and researched who Harold was, and he is introduced to Batman during the Batman run. It was called the Penguin Affair, and the Penguin was using him to create technology to manipulate birds to do heists, like steal jewelry. And the way he kept on like keeping him, because Harold's a good guy, like he's not in it for the money or anything. I think there was like a love interest to Harold in the Penguin Affair, and then Batman and him, like Batman like beats the Penguin up or something and becomes friends with Harold, and Harold starts like being Batman's mechanic, like
that's awesome,
build, like Batmobiles and stuff. And he is shot in Hush. Hush cures him of his hunchback, I guess, and possibly gives his voice back to him because he's a surgeon. At least Thomas Elliot does. And it depends on who you believe Hush was. And
fair.
And then I think the Joker, no, somebody shoots him, just shoots him dead. I don't think it's the Joker. Joker shoots Thomas Elliot, or you're supposed to think he did.
The movie is a whole other ballpark.
When I talk about Hush out loud, I realize that the thing that got me back in the comics might not be as good as I remember.
It's one of those stories that is absolutely great unless you explain it to somebody, and then you're like, okay, this sounds dumb, but I swear it's good. To be fair, that's a lot of Batman stories.
I like Hush. Hush was one of the first ones I read too.
I am complimenting it. This is me complimenting it.
Also, Jim Lee's artwork is pretty, so it's
yeah.
But yeah, Harold Allnut needs his own series.
Yes.
He needs to be part of everybody's team.
So he's just dead? He's been dead since then?
You know, he probably was brought back.
I'm literally on Batman Wiki. I got quiet because I'm now reading the entire life story of Harold.
I'm sure there's a flashpoint, a crisis, something.
Right. But the fact that we don't know means he still deserves justice.
Okay, Tom.
Uh-huh.
Batman Wiki legitimately says after the reset of Flashpoint, Harold's life was restored.
Wow.
So wait, what is Harold doing?
I don't know. He was in All-Star. He was in All-Star Batman.
Oh, no one read All-Star.
Write it, Tom. What he's doing right now.
Apparently he helped Duke Thomas do something. Doesn't say here. He just helped him. And he treated Two-Face? For what? Don't know. Doesn't say. I'm gonna deep dive on Harold tonight. That's gonna be what I'm doing.
Well, this is kind of leading into one of our final questions, which is if you had the opportunity to tell any story in the Batman mythology with any characters, anytime, no restrictions, what would you want to tell or see, like as a fan?
So I mentioned before, like I really like the history of Gotham type of things. So I don't know. Man, that's a real broad and
I know. Take your time. You can think on it.
Great. It's a great question.
Put that in a word bubble and smoke it.
It's balloon, not bubble.
What did I say?
You said bubble.
Oh,
you said word sperm, TJ. That's what you said.
I'm sorry.
There's another letterer's no, and that's referring to it as a bubble.
Oh no.
So it's a word balloon.
It's a word balloon.
Okay.
Then there's thought bubbles because they're bubbly. I guess I'm gonna include Harold in this. I guess something to do with technology, like maybe the way Harold or Batman buys parts gets like hacked or something, and you know they're getting faulty equipment, and then it's just like a whole mystery of like who's doing that, and it can be the mechanic or something.
Ooh.
I love that.
I don't know how to like really tie in my want of Gotham history to you know, a lug
Harold.
Harold and a lug nut. But I think I would want to go in that direction.
Are the mechanics of Gotham also corrupt? Like, is that one more source of corruption to tap into?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the mechanics. The well, there has to be a good name for a mechanic.
The mechanic. There's probably already someone called the mechanic.
That's
Let's
definitely.
be real.
Yeah.
That's
100%.
definitely.
100%.
Well,
yeah.
I am learning in my very brief deep dive that you have caused that Harold also is one of the creators of Nightwing's suit.
What?
So apparently he's an ass man, is what we're learning.
Yes.
Oh my
Absolutely.
God.
But that's the thing. Like everybody's like, oh, Lucius Fox does everything for Batman, or Alfred does it. Everybody forgets about Harold.
Yeah.
Aww. Okay, I want this. Okay, I'm hijacking this. What I want like the Batman history as told by Harold.
Oh, I like
what
that.
he's been seeing off to the side.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
His perspective.
I would like to, now we're just jumping on your idea here. I would like a friendship with him and Cass, since they both were nonverbal for a period of time.
That would
That's
be
actually
so good.
That's perfect.
Or we've got it. We've got a three writer story.
We'll collab.
And now we are, for the first time ever, going to do a guest requested game.
I have to say, I'm looking at our shared Google Doc, and I saw Chris put impromptu game at the bottom, and I just started laughing.
Yes, I did. That was to tell you to not go on to ending the show because I was about to hijack it. Okay, so as you suggested, it won't be exactly fuck, marry, kill.
Okay.
It's instead going to be Arkham, Patrol, or one arc love interest.
Arkham, Patrol,
or one arc love interest.
Okay.
Doesn't quite have the catchy ring to it.
So you don't necessarily break up at the end, but you move to different states for some reason.
Right. Who knows how it ends? But for one arc, because let's be honest, no relationship lasts longer than one arc anyway.
Fair.
Even marriages in the DC universe, let's be honest.
So this is, you're going to give us characters and I have to decide if I'm sending them to Arkham.
Going on patrol with them. So
or going on patrol.
Or in a relationship with them for one story arc.
Okay.
It could end tragically. It could end happily. We're not going to say.
But also, I would like to add the caveat to patrol. Sometimes smooching can happen.
Yeah. There is no limits on what could happen on patrol.
I've read Tom King's run on Batman.
It's at least on patrol. You at least have that moment in front of the giant moon that somehow the moon is always fucking giant. You know, you get that like little.
Yeah. You can like fool around, but you don't get to like go all the way unless you get that
one arc love and trust.
Here, you can substitute all the cuss words with let's make it clean.
Ooh,
how's that?
That was sultry.
That's good.
That was good.
It's just like
sultry.
Oh, my ears just like got a little kiss. They're tingling.
Yes. Absolutely. Okay.
Holy ear tingling, Batman. Okay, I'm ready to play this game.
Okay. The two of you have first decide whether you will patrol with, send to Arkham, or have one arc love story with Harold. Yeah, that's right. Hush. And Two-Face.
I have a question.
Yes.
Who is Hush? Like, who's behind the mask? Which one?
Oh God, which Hush is it?
Can it be Thomas Elliott?
I actually think that's more fun if you don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you don't know.
Just
you have to decide before you get to find out.
Okay. Okay, so it was Thomas.
No, it's Hush. You decided it was Thomas. It could be anyone.
I didn't.
For all we know, it's Jason Todd. Okay.
It was Hush, Harold, and who was the third one?
Two-Face.
Two-Face. Okay.
I also forgot for a second there.
I'm throwing Harold and Arkham. I'm really sorry, Tom, but I just learned who this man is. So he's going to Arkham.
TJ is the law.
But I'm a shallow bitch, so
I'm speechless. Wow.
I'm sorry. You can have him.
Damn.
He's yours.
Damn.
What would you do to Harold?
Wait, you haven't decided on the other two yet. You don't.
Oh,
you just decided...
I just wanted to hear what Tom would do to Harold before I continued. But I can finish. Would you prefer me to finish? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So Harold's going to Arkham. I would patrol with Hush. It's really hard because I want to know who Hush is, and I feel like I'm not going to find out unless I get that story arc.
Yeah.
But I got to go with my boy Harvey Dent and get that love story with him.
One arc, though, probably ends with him betraying you.
I mean, there's a 50-50 shot it'll work out. It's worth it.
I'm pretty sure you're forgetting that it's usually rigged, but okay. Okay, Tom, how about you?
I have to agree with the Two-Face for the love arc.
Yay!
He's hot. Yeah. At least half of him is.
Half of him is hot, and it's not the side you think.
He has a lot of baggage. That'll be fun to explore in a story arc.
There's a lot of lotion to rub. There's a lot of lotion. Hush goes straight to Arkham. I don't care.
What's the sound
version.
effect for that?
For the lotion?
Yeah, on that crusty skin.
I don't know.
Yeah, that was it.
That might need to be censored.
We're just gonna have it just bleep.
And it's all with Clayface.
Yeah.
So it's a threesome. Yeah, Hush goes straight to Arkham. Any
Fair.
version of him, any version. Harold, gets to be on patrol, and he gets a little. That's
Aw.
he's a good listener, and I think he has strong arms to massage the back while you wait to beat up some thugs.
Yeah.
Or after you beat up the thugs, he's got strong hands to massage your back.
All right.
He is a mechanic of both body, soul, and your car.
I love him.
See, my answers were based off of appearance.
Yeah, they were.
I don't even know what Harold looks like. So obviously he went to Arkham. But
Sight
if you're
unseen.
going character-wise, I gotta go with Tom. So I think he won that round.
Hey, you are not in control of this.
I'm sorry.
Get away. I was going to go with Tom as well, but it's not your call. Does it change it to know that I was thinking of movie Hush and it was Clayface all along?
Oh gosh.
Oh
Or
no!
Rip.
So I'm rubbing Two-Face with Hush.
Yes.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh my!
Oh god!
Wasn't Two-Face also Hush, or am I making something up?
Probably that movie was so fucked. Well,
And it was Riddler with cancer.
it was Riddler and it
And-
was Clayface.
Probably.
That movie was fucking stupid. Sorry.
We
I have to
watched
check
it
it out.
together, didn't we?
We did, and we hated
Yeah.
it. We were
was
so
bad.
Oh, you
mad.
hated it. Oh no!
The review. It was.
It was just because it was a Hush movie that did not actually include Hush.
Yeah. It was disappointing. Was that a 1-round game?
I mean, I could keep going.
I don't care.
Do you want another one, Tom? One more?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, we'll do
Okay.
one more.
Okay. So I'll go back to a classic since this is a variant on this game. Gotham City Sirens. Who are you patrolling with? Who are you love arcing? And who are you sending to Arkham?
I'm gonna patrol with Catwoman.
Hmm.
You can smooch a little bit.
Oh yeah. We know she flirts on patrol. It's amazing.
And I just feel like she would have my back on patrol. Like I would maybe take
That's fair.
Harley, but like I don't trust her as much as I trust Catwoman, which says a lot.
That's real
So
fair.
like Harley could like get distracted and I could get killed or something.
It's real fair.
Yeah, so Harley's gonna have to go to Arkham, unfortunately, but you know, she's been in there a lot. She can handle it.
She'll be fine.
Yeah. And Poison Ivy, I think would be really interesting to have an arc with, because I don't know, she just has a lot going on, and she kind of has like that Two-Face vibe where like there's a lot of baggage and like she, I don't know. I just got to go with Poison Ivy. Plus she's hot.
Yeah, sure is.
All right. Ah, dang.
It's hard.
It's very hard.
Okay. I have to go Harley on patrol. I feel like she knows the best spots to not work.
Yes. Accurate. You can get an egg and cheese sandwich with her. Amazing.
Hit up the roller derby.
Oh, yes.
She's fun. I'm like, I've read Tynan's Batman. She went on patrol quite often with Batman, and it seemed to work out. So
and then I feel like she'd probably kill me, but I would want to like swing the hammer.
Oh, yes.
I would want to swing the hammer.
That would be fun.
at first I thought that was a metaphor.
Oh,
I was
no.
like, what?
A
no.
euphemism for something?
Yeah,
Nope.
I gotcha.
Literal.
Nope.
Literal.
A love arc with Catwoman, because I'm basic like that.
Hey, she's
Okay.
a great choice.
Yeah,
There's
no
nothing wrong
answer.
there.
Yeah.
And Ivy goes to Arkham because I don't want to be itchy.
That's fair. You need
Yeah.
so much calamine lotion.
Yeah, you're getting the lotion in this round.
I think Ivy's one of those types. Well, okay, so Selena Kyle is intimidating, right?
Oh, yeah.
But she's intimidating because you're like, oh, she's cool. She'll like talk to me and
Yep.
like, but I don't really know what to say back to her. Like I can't ever say the right things back to her. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
But like Ivy's like so intimidating that I'm pretty sure like in canon Poison Ivy wants to kill me. Like,
okay.
I'm
to be fair, that's why I want a story arc with her, because I want to like break down.
You want to join her to murder me?
No, I want to get through her wall. I want her to go from wanting to kill me to loving me, and I want to see that unfold.
You want your enemies to lovers arc.
Yeah, I'm
Poison
here
Ivy.
for that. Yeah.
You want to be her wallflower.
Yes.
Aww. Aww.
Wow, guys, we are learning so much about the letter of the Joker today.
And more than one answer involved lotion. So
yeah. Well, that was a fun game. Oh my gosh, I haven't played a game in a while. That was a good one. Tom, thank you so much for suggesting that.
Yes, we might be keeping that. We'll do it in your honor.
We'll give you a credit. Not really. It's ours now.
Yeah. All right. That's fair.
But we gave you the fortune telling with word balloons. So
yeah, we'll trade you.
Yeah. I get it. It's considered a derivative.
Yeah.
Well, Tom, where can our listeners find you on social media? And are there any upcoming projects they should be looking out for?
Yeah, I just started lettering Dark Crisis for DC Comics. It's already beautiful. It's with Josh Williamson. And then I have a lot of things outside of DC. I have like Grimm with Boom with Stephanie Phillips, who I work on Wonder Woman Evolution with for DC Comics.
Is she writing Harley Quinn right now? Stephanie Phillips?
I believe so.
I love that too.
With James, I'm working on The Closet, which is also outside of DC Comics, and also DC versus Vampires is co-written by him and Matthew Rosenberg. Social media, Instagram, not really, but Twitter, TE Napolitano, and I'll talk about lettering and stuff on there. And I have a website, tomnapolitano.com. It's mostly a portfolio thing. You can check it out if you want, but well, especially if you want to hire me for something.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah. It's been an absolute delight having you on.
So much fun.
It's been a hoot.
Yes. A quart of Al's hoot.
Damn it, you beat me to it.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Gotham Outsiders. You can find me, Chris, on Twitter at The Myth of Psyche, where I talk feminism, queerness, psychology, books, and oftentimes Batman. You can also now find me at talkingcomics.com, where I write reviews and a column and sometimes the news about comics. You'd also find my co-host TJ
at TroyFinn2 on Twitter, where I talk about all things book related and Batman more often than I used to.
And you can find us both on Twitter at Gotham Outsiders, where we talk about Batman all the time. Join us next time. Same bat time, same bat place.